So if you're new to Google Calendar, you can create a new calendar here. You can also then click configure down the bottom there, and it means you can change all your settings and stuff like that. So for now, I'm just going to turn off the rest of my calendars and we'll get straight into the video. So the coolest thing about Google Calendar that I love is just the different amount of views you can have. So at the moment we're just on the week view, but you can also see it in the form of, say, 3 days or a schedule or the month as a whole, which is really awesome. You can also kind of customize the way that you view this, whether you want to view Sunday as the first day, you just want to view weekdays, things like that. So that's probably the most versatile feature of Google Calendar, so that's why I love it. So the first thing I want to show you is something called a life stack. Now this is something that I developed a few months ago that just sort of looks at each different area of my life. Now this is going to look different for everyone, and I really encourage you, you're more than welcome to use this as a template or a guide to create something similar of your own. So we're going to be looking at each different area of this life stack, and basically the purpose of this is to use this as a guide to plan out your week or your month in your calendar. So the first thing I want to look at is finance. Now keep in mind this is not in order of priority. So because I get paid on a fortnightly basis on a Tuesday, first thing I want to do is schedule a fortnightly budget time. So that's just about 10-15 minutes to look at my budget for the week and the month ahead and make sure that I'm on the right track. So here you can also repeat these. It does not have a fortnightly feature, but you can go into your custom recurrence and set it to repeat every 2 weeks. So we're going to save that. The next part of the finance aspect is my tithes. So I'm a Christian. I believe in giving 10% of my income to the church, and so I give my tithes to my local church every Sunday. And so the next thing is savings. So just once a month I check in on my savings, make sure that I'm keeping track of it, any big expenses that I've got coming up, and just making sure that I am staying on budget for keeping some savings, my emergency fund, as well as whatever I'm saving toward in the future. The next area is my spiritual life, and so for me this includes a time of a morning just to spend time in prayer and worship and reading my Bible. This is completely different for everyone. I understand that everyone has different beliefs, but I do really encourage you, regardless of what you believe, to spend time of a morning just being grateful, maybe keeping a gratitude journal, and just meditating on making sure that your mental health is in a good space to start the day. The next thing I also add is of an evening, I just have a time of prayer and worship. This is also just to kind of unwind as well before I go to sleep. I'll also then go ahead and add in any other times during the week that I want to spend with God, so whether that's Bible studies or particular extended times of worship, and so I'm going to go ahead and add those in now. The next area is my social life. Now, I would not exactly call myself a socialite, but I do believe it's really important to do life in community and to do life together. So because of the current season that I'm in with coronavirus, we can't meet together, and so I do actually have regular video calls with friends to just catch up with one another. The other thing I always want to do as well is make sure that I actually schedule time to spend with my family. That doesn't mean it has to be anything extravagant, but just times, maybe it's of an evenings that works for you, maybe it's an afternoon, and just to spend time with your family. The next area that I want to look at is your environment. So this is just about making sure that you're in a good environment in your home, in your workspace. So this is where I schedule time to clean and to organize. Once a fortnight I do a deep clean on a Monday. So I wouldn't consider myself a neat freak, but this is just something that I do to make sure that everything is in a good condition. So just wipe down any hard surfaces, maybe dust anything that needs dusting, vacuuming. It might also mean organising something that I've been putting off or going through something. So this is just maybe half an hour to an hour, and just a general sort of house clean. It's also a time where I strip down my bed and wash all my sheets and sort of reset my room and my home. Also of an evening, I just set aside a little bit of time twice a week to just do a bit of a general cleanup, just because I find doing this on a daily basis isn't always necessary, just because I do keep a fairly clean room, but every couple of days it's always good to just do a check of what you might be missing or what you might need to clean up. The next important thing for your environment is spending some time outdoors. I know in Tasmania it is really cold most of the year, so it's really hard to get vitamin D, and so whenever I can, I try and actually schedule time to spend outside. That doesn't necessarily mean exercise. I need to stress that, is that you don't feel like you have to go and do a huge big workout in order to get outside. Even if you just go and hang out at the beach and read a book, or it might just be sitting in your backyard. Laundry, if you want to schedule time over mornings to do that, you can, to wash your clothes, that sort of thing. The other one is a digital detox. So I do this every Friday, and it's basically cleaning up my computer, all of my devices, my downloads folder, organizing any files into folders, as well as backing up any files onto my hard drive that I don't necessarily need on my computer anymore. It also means emptying the trash on my computer, backing up photos, things like that. I do take a lot of photos on my phone, so I do need a reminder each week to back up photos I don't necessarily need on my device onto my computer or my hard drive, and then deleting them. So that way I just keep a lot of free space on my phone. It might also mean cleaning up your email inbox, as well as your text message conversations if you have a lot of those, just to continue to not just free up space but also free up your mind as well. It also means you can sort of action anything that you need to do from this week that you might have missed, and sort of put it out of your mind. The next thing that I want to look at is your physical health. So this includes your sleep. Now, if you want to actually put into your calendar the time you want to go to bed and wake up, that's totally up to you. I personally don't do that, just because it is a huge block of time of 12 hours that I'm not actually physically doing anything, so it does just make my calendar feel more full than it really is, and so I don't personally do that, but it is totally up to you. Something that I do have in there is just a reminder at a certain time each night to basically go off of digital screens and actually allow my brain to sort of wind down, especially because of the blue light. It is really important to allow your mind to sort of relax before going to sleep. The next obvious one when it comes to your physical health is time for exercise. Now, I'm not a sports fanatic. I don't like doing all sorts of crazy exercise, but I do believe it is important to do something, and whatever works for you. So I actually have something put in of a morning. I find that that's what gives me the most energy for the day, so generally morning is easier for me. So twice a week I just have a general workout that I just do at home. So I do that maybe every couple of days and alternate that with something that's a little bit lower intensity. So something as simple as yoga or some stretching, or maybe just if you have a treadmill, something like that, or even just going for a walk. So I just like to, that way it just gives my body a bit of a rest, and then alternate that with sort of higher strength or higher intensity workouts. And then just once a week I do schedule something that is a little bit higher intensity, so whether that's actually going out for a run, something like that, just to really give my body the energy that it needs, the boost that it needs. The next area is your diet. Now, you may not necessarily have anything to put in this category. I personally don't have a lot to put in there. You might want to meal plan and put your meals into your calendar. If you are on a particular diet, you might want to put in, say, your cheat day, or if you want to have a sugar-free day, something like that. A great tool of Google Calendar is you can set all-day events by simply clicking up the top here just underneath the date, and so that way it won't go off at any particular time, but it is just helpful to pop up there as a reminder. The next thing is your hygiene. So again, whether you want to put something in every day, that's totally up to you, But the main thing I use this reminder for is to do something on once a week, which is a Saturday afternoon for me. So a foot soak, cleaning my face, making sure that I'm doing like a face mask or a hair mask, and just doing sort of a deep clean of my skincare, making sure that, trimming my fingernails, maybe updating my nail polish or things like that. Are just some of the things that I actually make time to do sort of in one go of a week. The next thing is your mental health as well as your physical health. It's really important to schedule time to focus on that. So I find it really helpful to have a time at the start of my week to journal and reflect on the past week and also plan the week ahead. So this is a time that I put in on a Monday morning because I just feel like it's a really good time to sort of feel like you've reset yourself for the week. Another awesome thing that I've discovered is breathing exercises. As ridiculous as they sound, it really does make a huge difference to take maybe 10 minutes of an evening, slow down your breathing and just really focus on it, and it really does just reset your mind. Then obviously if you want to schedule in anything to do with your business or your work, if you have any side hustles or hobbies, things like that you do actually have income from or business from, then I pop them in now that I've sort of put in all these things that actually look after myself personally, and then I can put in everything around that to work on business or anything work related. So as you've seen up until this point, the actual middle section of my day is all fairly empty, and that's because anything that I want to focus on personally in my personal world is generally of a morning or an evening, and that way it does just keep my day free for focusing on anything work related. You might want to actually schedule a specific time in the day to check your emails or reply to them, rather than trying to do it all throughout the day. I also have what I call a goals checkpoint, which is just once a month, and it's just a time for me to sort of reflect on my long-term goals and how I'm progressing with that. If there's anything that I've been putting off that I maybe need to make some action steps out of, and so that way I can really just make sure that I'm on the right track, whether that's to do with business or spiritually, financially, just kind of a bit of an overhaul. But I don't want to do this too often because it is really easy to slip into too much reflection and get too focused on that. Then you want to look at your informal or your formal study and education and just all around learning. I think that it's really important to be continual learners, and so I do like to book times during my week to learn something new or to develop a skill that I already have. And so if this is formal study, this might look like this is where you would put in any assessments that are due, if you have any lectures or classes that you have to attend at certain times. It also includes any informal study. So I really encourage you to save articles or videos, anything that you want to dive into later. Save them to a list to watch, whether that's on YouTube or Facebook, and then just actually make a time, maybe once a week, maybe it's once a month, and you can just go back through and see what you've saved to see what you can learn, see what you can discover. And this sounds ridiculous, but I actually have 10 minutes every Friday to learn something new. It is so much fun to actually explore some of the new things that I can learn, and that can look like all sorts of different things. You also might want to book time in your schedule to catch up on the news. I know for me personally, it is because there is a lot of negativity in the news. I find reading the news too often really isn't good for me, but still making sure that I'm staying up to date with what's happening locally and globally is really important to do. And last but definitely not least is creative. I think it's really awesome, whether you feel like you're creative or not, to still schedule time to be creative and to explore your creativity in different ways. And so that is my calendar. That is exactly how I plan out my calendar, and the life stack that I use really has helped me feel less overwhelmed with planning my calendar and planning my week. It makes me feel like I haven't forgotten anything because everything sort of really fits into those categories. So now that we've actually filled this in, the schedule view is so helpful because it really does just give you a really good overview of what you need to do. Kind of makes it into more of a checklist style. So this has been how I plan my calendar based on my life stack, and so if anyone has any questions or if you want to find an actual template for this, I'll pop it in the description below. But otherwise, feel free to like this video or give it a thumbs up if you want to see more of these, and I will see you in my next video.